Hello for everyone, my name is Edwin García, and in this video I will talk about the statement proposed in task number 2 and to answer the questions. So the statement said that particularly Spanish and English bilingualism has been privileged. This is seen to provide an access to highly visible, socially accepted form of bilingualism leading to the possibility of employment in the global marketplace. In contrast, bilingualism in minority Amerindian of Creole languages has been generally undervalued and associated with an invisible form of bilingualism related to underdevelopment, poverty, and backwardness. So it's not a secret that those languages, the European ones like English, Spanish, like French, they have more demand nowadays. So someone who actually speaks Spanish and English um, has more job possibilities in today's world. Since they will have access to the cultures of the countries that speak both languages. Of course, in the case of America as a continent, all the countries in Latin America, in Central America that speak Spanish, and the North ones like United States and Canada, which allowed to be part of diverse cultures, traditions, and social behaviors. So someone will have like a deep and vast knowledge speaking those specifically. On the other hand, being bilingual not only opens up possibilities but also expands the mind, since the bilingual person has a greater chance of learning other language and easily recognizing different sounds. In the same way, it has found health benefits of being bilingual, such preventing cognitive degeneration and more memory capacity. But that's the point. It doesn't mean that someone that speaks, let's say, a Creole or one of those Amerindian languages doesn't have the same benefits. But sadly, this is what is actually um, happening. This is what we are living nowadays in our generation. That the Europeans, and after the 15th century, that the coloners arrived to America, they start to impose the language, not only the language, but their culture and even the religion. So I would like to define what are actually Amerindian languages. So Amerindian languages family refers to the languages spoken in North and South America before the arrival of the Europeans in the 15th century. It is estimated that today there are around 800 Native American languages left. However, it is difficult to calculate an exact number, since every day the cultures that speak them are disappearing and these languages are dying with them. In the case of the indigenous languages that we have in Colombia, like Arahuaco, and those that they are actually disappearing because no more people are learning, and the new generations they are more likely to learn Spanish in this case. So the use and the transmission of this language, like generation to generation, is being not the same nowadays. A curious fact is that these languages could not be indirectly classified into languages family. That is, it comes from the same roots as the case of the Indo-European languages, since the Amerindian languages are not related to each other. So linguistically talking about it, this is a fact that make it a little bit more complicated even to keep the learning generation to generation of those languages, because it means that it won't be like a correlation between one and another one, but it have to be like specifically taught by the people, by the culture that they have. have been spoken the language since a long time. Um, some examples of the Amerindian languages are that nowadays are even still spoken, like Quechua, like Mayans, like Guarani, Nahuatl, Aymara, Mixtec, Zapotec, Otomi, without mentioning all the richness that we have in Colombia. On the other hand, I would like to describe what is a Creole language. So, a Creole language is a language that is established by mixing different languages into a new form and then expands and develops into a complete language with its own native speakers in relatively short periods. Some Creole languages spoken in some Caribbean countries are Dominica, Grenada, Grenadian Creole French, Patois, Guadeloupe, Guadeloupean, and Haiti, Creole Haitien, in Martinique, Creole Martinique, and Santa Lucia, Creole, which is even hard to pronounce. Most of them sounds like French roots, and it's very noticeable the participations of French words and English words combined with each other to create a language, which, as I was saying, it makes it even more difficult to be used as an official language. Because let's say in the case of Spanish, it's not a secret that there is a direct relationship between the Romanic group, Romanic languages, which belongs to Spanish, French, Italian, Portuguese, Catalan, Romanian, and so on. Um, Now, I would like to answer the question. The question says and propose like, how far bilingual education programs for majority language speakers in Colombia today are actively helping towards the creation of a more understanding, a more tolerant society, and not only providing a way to better jobs and a higher standard of living for their graduates. So this is my answer. Actually, I wrote my answer. So I would like to think that bilingualism programs in Colombia are focused on expanding the cultural perspective of their students towards new cultures, which not only implies the generation of jobs with foreign companies or directly the migration of students to other countries, but bilingualism with local perspective in which locals can understand and welcome other cultures into the territory that seek to live significant experiences through cultural and ecological tourism in the country and generate a change in the paradigm that has taken place in Colombia that sells translated so subtly Netflix series in other languages. It's not a secret that actually what we can see on Netflix nowadays uh, and even translated to several languages, mostly to English, is just the bad part, the decadence of the country, war, drugs problems, narco trafficking, and so on, where the decades and blows to culture that have brought problems such as war and drug trafficking are mostly shown, sadly. In my case, and as a Colombian United student currently living in another country, as an ambassador in another countries, and with my experience as a teacher, I have given myself the task of re-educating the bad image that the country has had, um, since the foreigner is not guilty actually of that negative image that they are. So, and that is where we as future teachers also have a task in pedagogy and in bilingualism that builds the comprehensive bilingualism, the tolerant bilingualism that transforms, that brought a message in English about the natural culture and human wonders that we have in our country. So thank you very much, and